So episode 8 dropped a while ago, and boy was there a lot happening this episode. We start off the episode with Rin and Kagura at Kagura's home. We learn that Rin's staying with Kagura's family for the time being, and that Kagura is encouraging Rin to attend the vacation house with her. Later, Kagura's mother discourages Kagura from going as Akito is visiting the beach house also, and she doesn't want her to get hurt. Once Kagura learns Shigure invited Akito, she cracks her nut and breaks the door in her usual fashion. I think this is interesting foreshadowing for the events of the episode and for future episodes because Kagura loses it after she finds out who invited Akito, and she correctly deduces it was to stir Akito up into a rage. Her reaction indicates who's going to bear the brunt of this anger. Kyo. We see Yuki taking Toru back to the house from the beach straight after the previous episode. Toru begins to worry about Yuki, and this carries on through the whole episode. She's interrupted from this by Hatori, who checks to see if she's okay and snaps her out of her worry. He comments that the Zodiacs are again all going to visit Akito, leaving Toru by herself. However, she corrects him and says that she has Kyo. Just after Hatori leaves, however, she begins thinking about Akito and by effect Yuki again, wondering what caused him to be vulnerable to her like that. Kyo also checks on Toru, noticing her mood swings. To reassure him, she begins to act like her regular self and she asks if he'd like to go down to the beach. Kyo, not being able to say no to her, agrees. I like this sequence a lot. It perfectly illustrates the effect that Toru has had on the Somas and showcases the growth of the two most distant and cold members of the family. I also think it provides a little bit of foreshadowing in its own way. Hatori and Kyo were once quite cold and reserved around Toru, but after spending time with her, they display an affection and compassionate side that nobody else really gets to see. Considering we then get introduced to a similarly cold and reserved character in Rin, I think it encapsulates the direction in which her character is going to go. We then change over to Akito's private house where Yuki's distancing himself from Akito and Shigure comes in to pester him. Once Shigure questions him about what Akito said to him, he leaves. Back at the beach, we see Toru marveling at her sand castles, however, Kyo names them more appropriately as sand mountains. We learn that Kyo's never built sand castles before, which gives us a little bit of insight into how sad his childhood was, I guess. The other Zodiacs return and meet them on the beach. Toru spots Haru and Yuki talking in the distance and approaches Yuki. He apologizes for worrying her, dismissing what he said the previous day, but also commenting that he was not going to apologize for the kiss, that he thinks there was nothing wrong with that. Hey. Toru pushes the subject and tells him not to dismiss what he said, that those were important things to him, and then he gets all up in her face and tells her he'll discuss it more with her later, in extremely creepy fashion. It's clear from her expression every time that she's shocked and a little bit unsettled, I feel. Then he goes and picks a fight with Kyo, telling him not to lash out as it could have a negative impact on Toru, all the while telling him that he's blatantly better. Yikes. The next day, we see Kurino and Akito leave the beach house and walk towards the main beach house to meet Toru. Akito constantly complains and degrades Toru in front of Kurino, telling him that he'll let her meet him soon, but that he has to act as a regular Zodiac member, which foreshadows his unique condition within the Zodiac family. Akito believes that once he torments Toru, she'll be all alone. However, Kurino kind of triggers Akito, saying that Toru is with Kyo, so she won't be alone. This angers Akito, and he talks disdainfully of Kyo, calling him a monster. Meanwhile, Toru and Kyo are back at the beach, improving their sandcastle, where Kyo fetches a hermit crab for Toru. He offers for her to go for a swim, but she doesn't seem to mind as she prefers to spend time with him. She questions why Kyo doesn't like water, and then we get to delve more into the Zodiac cat's history, where previous cats like Kazuma's grandfather didn't like water either. We also dive into the history of the beaded bracelet he wears, how it's been passed down through previous cat spirit Zodiacs, and how the story of how the bracelet was made with bone and blood always bothered Kyo. Toru and Kyo have a bit of a moment, and in one of the funnier parts of the episode, their romantic moments washed away by the sea. Kyo becomes angry with the water, which in turn makes Toru laugh. Akito and Kurino are watching from a distance at this point, and they notice how much fun Kyo's having, so they decide to change tack. I think this definitely ties into that first scene at the beginning of the episode where Kagura was worried about Kyo. He's definitely got a big orange target painted on his back at this stage, and it's setting the scene for some extreme abuse at the hands of Akito, as well as setting the stage for Akito to finally confront Toru. Back at the house, Toru begins to hang out the laundry, but a sheet blows away, causing her to chase it. This leads her to Rin, who's transformed into a horse due to exhaustion. Angrily, Rin almost hits Toru in the face with her hoof, so yet another of the Soma clan is revealed to be a violent and unhinged psycho. She de-transforms and Toru rushes to find her some clothes. Meanwhile, Yuki presses the subject of why Rin chose to visit, implying she came to see Haru. After lashing out at Yuki, she grabs the clothes and leaves, forcing him to not tell anyone she was there. With the reveal of Rin as the horse, it leads Toru to assume that Akito is the rooster, as this is the only Zodiac remaining. And this is going to set up the big reveal for Toru, which I assume will be in next episode. At the end of the episode, we see Rin smash Kyo and Toru's sandcastle, and Akito tells Shigure and Hatori to bring Kyo to see him the next day. So certainly a lot's happened throughout this episode, a lot of development, a lot of serious stuff. I think things are looking a little bit bleak for Toru and Kyo in the coming episodes, but I'm looking forward to next week.